It
Is it an olive?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
that's correct.
Wonderful. So tell me, why did you choose the olive tree or the olive branch?
Because Lushtica Bay and the Lushtica Peninsula is famous by olives, by olive tree. And everywhere you go, you can find some olives, and it's really our like brand, let's say.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And what does it tell us about you? Does it tell us anything about you and the way you work with people, or a bit of your magic, your secret sauce?
About me or about the hotel?
Either, but about you would be interesting also.
Well, when you come to visit us, for sure, green is our color. And also you can enjoy in nature, and that's our
Great.
main feature that we have here. It's a beautiful nature. We do have active lifestyle. We like to use some domestic products.
Wonderful.
And we have interesting farms around that you can visit. Then you can explore some products from Montenegro, and to try like olives, honey,
Wonderful.
some fruits, vegetables, but olive is for sure like the main plant.
It's the main one. Excellent, excellent. So I literally will be walking around and able to pick some olives. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I love it. I love it. And so is it that you really feel like you're in Montenegro when you're there? You
Yes.
get a sense of it's a real local experience, and you walk away with, you feel like you've been part of the culture almost, and
absolutely. Montenegro is famous by wild beauty.
Yeah.
So it's a country with beautiful nature, and we have a lot of historic parts, and we have lakes, we have mountains, we have a coastline, city sides, so you have like everything, and the nature is really beautiful. Okay. Among the whole Balkan, actually.
Yeah. Wonderful. Because we speak a lot about olive oil in our family. My husband practically drinks it, but it had a big effect on reducing his cholesterol levels. But my son, who's 11, he just asked the other day, how many trees does it take to make like a bottle of olive oil, or a liter of olive oil? So I'm wondering, or how many bottles would you get out of one tree? So do you know that by any chance?
Honestly, I do not. We don't produce olives. Yeah. I only buy from my friend, from her family. Lovely. However, I can find this information for you.
Perfect. Yeah, ask your friend.
I'll double check.
Yeah, because I believe in some other countries there are central places that you can bring your olives. So if you have an olive tree or two in your garden, that you can bring it somewhere and they will process it and make olive oil out of it. Does that happen in Montenegro?
Yes, you can plant a tree, and then of course I believe it needs to have a special treatment. Yeah. You need to do the special treatment. So a lot of families enjoy in this plant to have it in their own garden. So yeah. Yes, it's possible.
So you could make it yourself in your house, or does it take something that,
you can actually, you can. It's a good climb, so
yeah. Excellent. Okay, so there's another Ciara Feely arriving.
Yes.
This now for the next few minutes. We'll see. Hello there. Who has arrived?
Hello, I think it's me.
Hello, who's me? Because, you know, I made a mistake. I sent out a link that was mine, that is registered to my name. And so now everybody's arriving just as Ciara Feely. So if you could change your name, that would be great. If you go to the top right of the camera, the little three dots there, you should be able to change it. And we'll figure out who you are.
This is
okay.
Maria Kuzba. She works at Great Hotels of the World. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And if you're comfortable, you're welcome to turn on your camera also, Maria, if that suits you.
Okay.
So tell me, are people normally on time, or is it real, you know, relaxed European time? Do you think people
usually people are on time?
Okay. We'll give people another few minutes. So good to see you, Maria.
Good to see you too.
Oh, we have another Maria.
Another Maria. Maria from London. You'll have to change your name there, Maria, because I sent out my link to everybody.
What do I need to do? Sorry.
Change your name.
Change your name. There's the three dots in the top right.
Okay. In view? Okay, give me a moment.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the Great Hotels of the World Sales Strategy Workshop on how to win more meetings, incentive, conference and event business. Madalena, I'll just hand over to you real briefly.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We started this partnership to help you win more business. And the best person is Ciara Feely to help you. We'll have this workshop to show you, she will explain you how it's going to work. And I think that's it, Ciara. I don't know if you need any more.
That's great. That's great. Wonderful. So we'll kick off with our fruit or our vegetable. If somebody would like to share why they brought a particular fruit or vegetable and what that perhaps can tell us about your particular secret sauce, your magic, something that's different and compelling about you or your property. So Anna just shared with us, she brought an olive tree and how much that represents their property, so much about Montenegro. Show us there, fabulous, and how much you can connect with nature when staying with them. So Maria, does any of the Marias want to share a fruit or a vegetable that you brought?
I brought an avocado.
Avocado, excellent.
Very small. It's called. It's a type of avocado called Hass. That is from Latin America, but you can also find it in Israel. So they're really good. Very, very, very hard. Do I have to describe the fruit?
No, tell me why you chose it, what it tells us about you.
No, I chose it because I love avocados and I eat half every day for breakfast. So it was easy to take it now from the kitchen. And also because I found it interesting to see what you were going to do with the fruits. So yeah, that's why I chose it.
Wonderful. Anybody else want to share a fruit or a vegetable? Let me share with you mine. So I brought an onion, a red onion, because, well, red is a little bit more different. And I like to show people how to be a little different and how to stand out. But also I mainly brought an onion because it's got lots of layers to it. And when you peel it back, you discover that there's always more. There's something else there. And in the sales process, I have found that there's always lots of layers to it. And in particular with clients, they don't always share with you everything that is important. They might tell you about an event, they might tell you the specs of an event and the basics, but it is up to you in your role to really get to know the client and to uncover what is important to them. And in asking questions and in asking why, and tell me more about that, that you can figure out a lot more about the client. And sometimes in sales, we just accept what the client tells us and we're not curious. And so it's, I encourage my clients and I help my clients to be curious and figure out an awful lot more about what's important to your clients that's going to help you to win more business and win more business that's profitable for you or for your property. So Madalena, you might put in the chat box to explain to people to change their name so that we know who is who is here. Okay, so folks, I'm going to get started because we have a lot to cover today. And at any stage, please feel free to ask questions. I very much welcome questions. You can put them in the chat box or you can put your hand up and Madalena will be monitoring the chat box there and she'll let me know. Okay, so my promise to you today is that it's going to be practical. I'm going to make it practical and I'm going to give you a different lens and some ideas through which you can look at your sales process and step back and see, well, where are the areas that we can be doing something a little bit different. But let me tell you that this is a photo of my friend Andy, and he is a volunteer for the RNLI, the lifeboat off the coast of Wales. And July 2 years ago, he just got home from work, and he, you know the feeling, he just sat down on the couch and his pager went off, and that meant that somebody was in trouble. So straight away he was up and within 10 minutes leading a team out on the open sea. And it had been reported that 2 canoeists were missing. They hadn't come home when expected. So it was late in the evening. It was starting to get a little bit dark, and so time was really of essence. And within the first few minutes, they found their first canoeist. And while he was a little bit shook, he was okay, but he was very concerned about his friend, who he last saw over in that direction, but out of the canoe. So all of a sudden, everything was a lot more urgent because now there was a man in the water late in the evening. So they shot off in that direction and they were going around and around and just not able to find him. And what can happen in these situations is sometimes there are false sightings, and they could see something that they think is somebody, but it turns out to be some debris or a seal or seaweed or something like that. So they had 2 of them. So Andy was starting to get a little concerned at this stage, and he had a choice. He could call off the search and call the helicopter, who would be able to do the aerial sweep, but that would take some time because the helicopter was another 30 minutes away. Or he could do this, and this is what he decided to do. He decided to just turn off the engine and simply wait and listen. And within about 30 seconds, they heard a faint whistle over in that direction, and they headed over there and they found their man. So what that said to me and what that said to Andy is that a lot of the time we create a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise in our background. There's a lot of noise in your client's background. And every so often we really just need to switch off the noise and see what comes up and really, really listen. So today I'm going to be talking about listening skills and the importance of listening to your clients. But also for now, if I can ask you to turn off any other distractions that you might have. Because if you're trying to check email, if you're trying to do other things while you're on this call, that you will miss something, okay? So while you are here, let's just turn it off and focus in, because I promise you I will share some nuggets that will help you to do something different and to help you to win business. So I want to share with you some tips as to what helped Brian here to win business worth 5 million. It was a very large conference and event. And I'm going to share with you what worked for him, what worked for Justine, who led a group of 20 salespeople, and they grew their conversion rate by 7%. And they won Best DMC award in their region in Dubai. Within a few months of working with me. What helped Elena here to win business worth 60,000? Again, by just doing something different and by listening in closer to her clients. You know, what has helped a number of different people. Anthony here to win business worth 220,000 by having better conversations with his clients. Heather here, she won 75% of a client's event business for the year. She had been bidding on that business for 3 years in a row, never winning it. And what did she do to start winning it? And Leila here, I'll share with you her thank you. And Tanya, how she had the confidence to open a whole new office. But the big C, right? We can say the C has a new connotation in the last 2 years in terms of coronavirus. But when I talk about the big C, I'm talking about connection. I'm talking about communication. I'm talking about building a community of clients, that your fans that really, really love you. And I'm also talking about conversion rates. And what is your conversion rate? Are you really busy with leads right now? And are they converting? Because we want to make sure that if you're spending time sending out proposals, responding to RFPs, that you're winning more of them. Okay, so real quickly, folks, you can say it out loud or type it in the chat box. What do you see here?
A dog with a man face.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? Madeleine, if you see something in the chat room, what do you see? Doesn't matter, say anything. There's no wrong answer to this.
Rooftop with a face.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Anybody
Victoria
else?
and Marta from Dom Pedro, they are saying a dog or a cat.
A dog or a cat? Yeah, absolutely. Good few people see that, or a cow. Some people see, you know, a man in a bathtub, or somebody trying to climb over a wall, right? Or perhaps a baby in a buggy, you know. So there's lots of different things that you can see. But you know, it's a very simple picture. It's a picture drawn by a 5-year-old, and you were all once 5. And when you were 5, did you think that you were brilliant at drawing? Right? We all did, didn't we? So what I want to ask you to do is, I'm going to ask you to draw, because the part of the brain where our creativity lies is back here, and we can access it quicker by drawing. Okay. And so we don't always use that part of our brain every day because we get full with other things and too much information. So I just wanted you to draw, and this is something just for yourself. How would you feel if you reach your revenue goals for 2022? How would you feel if you reach your revenue goals for 2022? Okay. And it's just the process of drawing here. It doesn't matter what you draw. It's just the process of drawing to activate that part of our brain, okay? So just write a message in the box there when you're finished, okay? Okay. Does anybody want to share what they drew? If you don't, it doesn't matter. Is there happy faces?
Do you want to see the draw?
If you want to share it, Clara, yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can see something. Can you see it?
I can see something like an A.
It's a mountain,
Oof, great.
and I'm in the top.
Yay!
Yeah. So yuppie.
You made it to the top. Fabulous. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So if you're ever feeling stuck, folks, start drawing, just doodle, and it helps to tap into that creativity. So thank you for that, Clara. So folks, as we're going through today, I want you to look at this here, and look at it from, what is my growth attitude? Am I open to learning? Or am I really, where I need to be? Is there something more that I can be doing? Can I be doing something in a different way? What are the activities, right? What are the sales activities that I'm doing? I know that everybody is busy and everybody has extra stuff to do that perhaps isn't related to sales. But can you bring it back to, are there some core key activities, sales activities that you're doing every day? Even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes, it's going to help you to reach the top of that mountain, Clara. And what are my skills? Where am I now in terms of my sales skills? And where do I want to be? Where could I be? Okay. And a lot of what I teach is about building trust, trust and confidence. And while this was important before the coronavirus, it's even more important now, because people really need to feel that connection with you in order to be confident to do business with you. And this is a picture of my dad and myself. And I still remember, those feelings of elation when he just like threw me up into the air. And of course, he caught me every single time. And when you are working in particular in the incentive and the meetings and event business, and the client is looking at, who will I work with? Who can I trust? When they are considering doing business with you, they are effectively giving you their reputation, because if they choose a wrong venue, everybody will say, well, who chose this place, if something goes wrong, right? And reputations take years to build. And a lot of your clients have put a lot of money into building their brand. You look at big clients, they've put millions into it, but most companies have hundreds of thousands invested in their brand and their reputation. And when they work with you, they are putting the brand of their organization over the brand of your company. And again, a wrong venue choice can do a lot of damage to reputations and to brands. And so they really need to feel these levels of trust and confidence in order to trust you with their reputation and to trust you with their brand, because they have big things that they need to achieve from working with you. Okay. So just a little bit about me. I have been where you are. I worked in sales, starting at sales coordinator level up to director level in downtown San Francisco. And then I moved to Omni Hotels and Resorts. And within a few months, 9/11 happened. And a lot of you perhaps are too young to remember that, but it was a massive shockwave within the industry, and everybody was told to stop traveling just for a few months. But it had a big impact, and we were opening a hotel just 2 months after 9/11. So I understand what it is like to build your market, to win the trust and confidence of your clients, and get them to want to work with you. When I moved back to Ireland from San Francisco, I founded findaconferencevenue.com. And so I became an agent. Yes, it was an online portal, a little bit like Cvent, but also I did a personal service. And so I worked and spoke with a lot of event organizers, and I received briefs, and I would send that out to hotels. And a lot of the time I could see why business was being lost, because I was receiving hundreds and hundreds of proposals and RFPs, and I could see why business was being lost. And I love this industry. You know, I think we have like an amazing industry. There's fabulous people in our industry, and I really wanted to help everybody and to show them what I could see through the eyes of the buyer. And so I started to write a book called Steps to Win, and this was a very therapeutic process for me, because it got everything that was in my head out and helped me to get clarity. And that is how I developed the Steps to Win process. And it's a methodology on how to win business, but most of all, how to really step back and create a sales process that's aligned with how your client wants to buy and the type of experience that that they need to have in order to have that trust and confidence to say yes to working with you. And then from there, I developed these online training modules that I've been delivering for 8 years now online. So I want to share a summary of some of that Steps to Win with you. Okay. And the first one is, how do you stand out? How do you sound different? It's really, really important to do that right now in order to really separate yourself from your competitors. And the last 2 years, I think, was a really important time to develop creativity and to start doing things different. And this is a barista, coffee shop owner in New Zealand. And within a few weeks of the coronavirus, he developed this method, a train to deliver his coffees to his customers. And he created a 2-meter long track, and he just put the cup of coffee on the carriage and sent it out to his clients. And he had people queuing up around the block to get the coffee, because it was just such a novel way, and it was just something great, you know. So what can you be doing different? And if I can share this one with you, let's imagine for a moment that you have been invited to dinner, right, to your boss's house, and your boss likes a good wine, and you want to make sure that you're bringing the right kind of wine, right? The kind of wine that says the right thing about you. And if you walk into, like, this is the average store, right? This is what wine shops are like in Ireland, in good few places in Europe and in America. And I don't know about you, but I feel confusion when I walk in, because there's just hundreds of bottles, and a lot of the time they're separated into red or white and by country. And that doesn't necessarily help me to choose the right bottle of wine. I'm still a bit confused, and I might make a decision based on price, assuming that if it's a little bit more expensive, that it must be a good bottle of wine. Okay. But let's look at the language that the seller is using, right? They're describing it as red, dry, full-bodied, spicy, rich, or French. That doesn't really help me either in order to choose the right bottle of wine. But let's imagine that you walk into the Bottle Rocket in New York City, and they have selected 4 or 5 bottles that are suitable, that are an appropriate gift for the boss. Okay. So I don't know about you, but this makes me feel relief. I'm like, yes, they've made it easy for me to say yes, right? I'm definitely going to spend my money in this shop, because they've identified what it is that I'm looking for, a bottle of wine for the boss. And see here, you may be able to see this. They've also selected bottles of wine for the third date, you know, which I thought was just so hilarious. I'm not sure if it's a stronger wine, but you know, if you're going on a third date, you will be drawn over there, right? So let's look at the language. The important part here is the language. So what is the language that the seller is using and the buyer has in their head? So the industry lingo is red, dry, full bodied, spicy, rich, or French. But the buyer is saying, I just want a bottle of wine that's going to impress my boss. So you see, there's two different things happening there. There's two different conversations. And the more that you can enter the conversation that's happening in your client's head, the more you're able to use their language, the more successful that you will be, the more that you will get their attention, and they'll listen and they'll sit up and go, oh, you know what? They get me. I understand. So let's look at some of the language that's used in this industry. Now, this I've taken from having been on hundreds of websites in my venue finding days, but also I review websites, I review sales collateral right now. And these are the prominent phrases that's coming up. Exceeding expectations, right? You've heard that one a lot, right? A unique venue, a leading hotel, a memorable experience. You're promising a memorable experience, a convenient or great location. You know, if you're selling a convenient or great location, you're selling yourself short, because what I want to know as a buyer is, what about that convenient or great location is going to help me with my event, or to get more people there? If you're telling me that it can help to get more people there, then I'm interested, you know. But sometimes we use these marketing phrases that everybody's using, and it dilutes our message and doesn't help you to stand out. Okay, so avoid the use of these, because a lot of people are using them. And what has happened is commoditization has happened in our industry, where beautiful resorts and venues are starting to sound and look the same. Okay, so we need to figure out what's the language to use to help you to stand out and to help you to build trust, because trust builds your community, and your clients want to feel part of a community, part of a group of people who really get them, who can bring value and help them in their role. At the end of the day, the clients, they don't really care about your business. They don't care about your hotel. They care about their problems. They care about what they need to achieve in business. Okay, and the more you can help them, the better. So thinking like a customer, that's going to give you the edge, right? And so we're going to look at steps to do that, because Justine here, you know, she said that it really helped her to engage in a more proactive way with clients, which is so important. And that word engagement is a big word right now. And of course, it helps you to convert more business and make the client journey that much better. You want the experience to start with you. It's very hard to promise an amazing experience, you know, once they get on property, if they're not already having it at each step of their of your sales process, at each step of their decision-making process. It has to start with you. And a great pitch, it's about opening up the conversation and not closing the deal, right? So it's getting people to talk. Opening up the conversations is a really important skill right now. So so I'd ask you to review, how do you think you or your team, you stand out? How, you know, are you a 10 out of a 10? Are you 5 out of a 10? You know, in terms of really speaking to the client, really helping, having a compelling message where they sit up and go, yeah, that's it. That's exactly what we need. Okay, so to mark yourself out of 10. And I'll do this as we go through each step, because I really want to make it practical. And at the end of the hour, that you're able to look back and see where are the areas that you need most help with, or that you need to do the work on. Okay, so so that it's easy. You know, you can say, okay, this week I'm going to work on this. Next week I'm going to work on this. Okay, so step 2 is all about the conversation and killer questions and leading strategic conversations. Okay, so let me just check in with you real quick, folks. Is this making sense to you? If you give me the thumbs up, or Yeah, nod in the chat box. Great. Okay, so the art of listening is not to hear what someone says, but it's to hear how they feel. And it can be difficult to get to that level with a client, because sometimes they just send you the brief, they just send you a spec, right? But it's really about opening up that conversation and feeling that connection. So I'm going to give you we're going to do just a little bit of work on listening skills, and I'm going to ask you to listen to this. It's an audio recording taken from one of my walks around where I live in the morning. And there's a number of birds there. And I want you to try and identify how many birds. Perhaps you can tell about the different tweets, the different calls and the different songs, and identify what it is that you're hearing. Okay, so it'll be about a minute of listening. Okay, and then just share with me. And again, there's no wrong answer, so let's just focus in. Okay, folks. Okay. How was that for you?
That's nice. You can continue playing.
Continue playing it. We'll all have a little snooze. Absolutely, Clara. Could anybody guess what they were hearing, or how many they were hearing?
I count around 6 differently.
Very good.
And then we had the cow and the goat. So
very good.
they are not birds, but I hear them.
Excellent. Anybody else hear something? Tanya, Victor, and Marta, you're very welcome. Good to see you here. Anybody else hear something? Want to share what you heard?
Always one like leading the conversation, like one that is above the others.
Very interesting. Yeah. That was the Dawn Chorus. So it was taken last April. So there's a lot of activity there, and they're all competing and chatting, and there's a big conversation over and back. And I'm not a bird expert, but I sent it to a friend of mine who is, and he could identify 7 for sure, but he said there could be up to 10 or 12. And there it's a frenzy of conversation. There's competition happening there also. But Clara, I would agree with you that it sounds like it's a goat or a cow in the background. They're actually sheep. I don't know whether the sheep are a bit more deeper ba around here, but they're sheep, because just from looking around the field, that's all I could see. But listen, thank you for going with that, and I decided to bring in a bit of nature, because nature is a wonderful way to practice your listening skills. And if you want to brush up on them, just simply sit in nature and, put away the phone, don't have any distractions, even just for 10 minutes, and just observe, what am I hearing? So it's a wonderful way to calm the mind, but it really does help you to focus in on your listening skills, because our brain is naturally set up to go to distractions, to be distracted, to start thinking about other things, and we need to focus in on calming that. Have you ever noticed when you're in conversation with somebody, you might be thinking about, what's the next thing I'm going to say to them, or how am I going to respond? And true listening comes from zoning in and listening to understand rather than listening to respond. And there's a big difference there. And have you ever been in conversation with somebody and you know they're not listening to you and they're just trying to interrupt and say, yeah, but, and, you know, and that's frustrating, okay? And we can naturally do that, and our brain naturally does that. So perhaps a nice way to have a break is to go out into nature, just sit and be. I'm sure you all have absolutely beautiful surroundings, and just observe what it is that you are hearing. Okay, so let's look at some of the questions that are in your client's head that they may never say to you, right? But this is what's happening in their head. They're thinking, can I trust this this property location with my event? Can I trust them? Will they be up to the task of making it a success? Right? That's a big question. Do they read my needs? Right? Do they really get me? Do they really understand me? And sometimes the client hasn't thought everything through, right? They are in a rush. They're in a frenzy. There's a, you know, they have a very busy background. And sometimes it's up to you to lead that conversation and to be asking questions and to help them to think things through, to help them to think about things they haven't thought about, to help them to ask questions that they haven't asked yet. They haven't asked of the other stakeholders in the event. And that's part of your role. They're thinking, will they make me look good? Right? Again, that's the reputation thing coming back. And will we get a return on investment? Because they didn't just wake up and decide, I'm going to spend 50,000 on an incentive event today. You know, there's a very specific reason why that is, why that money has been set aside for this event. And do you understand the strategy behind that? Okay. But my question is to you, will you get these questions, will the client get these questions answered by if you're just sending emails over and back, or if you're just asking about the dates and the rates and the space, which is a very common conversation in our industry. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of practice here on some questions, and I'm going to draw a picture, and I'd like for you to ask me some questions to guess what it is that I've drawn. Okay. And if you've played this before, just play along with me. Okay. Okay. So I have drawn something and I'd like you to guess what it is.
It's an
You draw
object.
something. Okay.
Sorry. There was two questions there.
Is it an animal?
Animal? No.
An object.
Object? No.
It's a word.
Word? No.
A number?
No.
Is it a fruit?
Fruit? No.
A feeling?
A feeling? Is that a feeling? No. Victoria and Marta, you were going to ask a question there?
I think it was Victoria or Marta.
Yes. Yeah, both of us. Yeah.
It's something that you have tried.
Something that I've tried?
Yeah.
Well, you've used it today. All of you, I would imagine, have used one or a few of them today in some shape or form.
Is it something to wear?
Nope.
So it's not an object.
It's well, it's an object. It's something that you've used. It's something very practical. It's part of a building.
A door.
It's a door. There you go. It's a door. It's a door. It's a door. Okay. So the point of that, well done, Clara. The point of that is to observe what is our questioning style. And if you notice, a lot of the questions were very short questions, very direct, yes. And they were closed-ended questions. So I could really only answer yes or no. And if we had explored different types of questions, such as more open-ended questions, you probably would have guessed that a lot quicker. So it took maybe about eight questions. Okay. So if we had asked questions in a style like, tell me more, tell me about, you would have got me talking a lot more, and then you would have figured it out a lot quicker. Okay. And we can tend to do that in our industry. If you look at a lot of the questioning style, we can ask about, what are your dates? What are the space requirements? How many rooms do you need? How many people is it for? And they are questions that everybody is asking. So, you're not standing out, but they're also closed-ended questions. So the more open-ended questions you can ask to get the client talking, the more you're going to build trust, and the more you're going to really create a connection with the client, which is what's very important. Now, I know sometimes it can be really hard to get somebody on the phone or to get them on a video call with you. But even if you're asking a few different questions on email, it's building trust with them that they're going to say, do you know what? Let's just hop on a call. It's quicker to answer these rather than typing all the answers. But you want really, like, your questioning style, how you are with the client really does help you to stand out. Okay. And I feel very passionately that in our industry, we really need to stop having just the dates, rates, and space conversation, because everybody is doing that. Everybody's asking those. So, you're not standing out. Everybody seems the same when it's the same conversation. Okay. And Molly Marsh here, she organizes about 70 events herself and her team. And she said to me, she said, Ciara, I feel that hotels are too busy, and it's not in their culture to ask deeper questions. And then she feels there's a disconnect with the event. And when I get to on property, that it's more work for her, right? So the way you are right now with clients, the way you are in that RFP process really is very important to help build trust and confidence to help you to win that business. And in my Steps to Win program, I teach this conversation frame, and it's a four ways to lead the conversation, and it helps for the conversation to flow, and it really opens up opportunities to ask open-ended questions, and for you to feel that you lead the conversation, that the client isn't leading the conversation. It's very important that you are leading the conversation. So how do you open it, and how do you take control of the conversation? And then the second part is how are you identifying the gap? Where is the client now? Where do they need to be? How better off do they want to be after they've done some work with you? And what are they, as I call them, the killer questions, to really get the client to tell you everything that you need that's going to help you to win the business. The third step is, how are you matching? So you've listened to the client, and how can you match what it is you heard with your property, or how you can help them with your expertise, with the expertise of your team. Okay. And this is the part of the conversation where you do the talking, right? A lot of salespeople sell too early and start to talk too early about their property. But it's really, you need to understand the client needs to feel listened to first. And then the fourth step is, how do you finish up the call? How do you ensure that there's a next step, that you're not just hanging up the call and say, yes, I'll send you a proposal, and then you never hear back from them, right? It's like you could put 2 hours into proposal and the client doesn't get back to you, and it's just such a waste of your time. And especially now when you're multitasking, when you have perhaps a smaller sales team, it's so important that the time that you're spending on doing your offers, on preparing RFPs and proposals, whether it's C-Vent or direct to the client or direct to an agent, that you're winning more of them, okay? And that you're productive with your time, right? And so, a lot of the time I ask myself, well, why aren't there more conversations in our industry? Why are we just sending emails? And sometimes it's a fear. It's a fear of hearing no, right? And that's natural. Why aren't we more proactive? Why aren't we calling people and starting a relationship, starting a conversation. And sometimes it's that fear of, oh, maybe they won't be interested. Maybe they'll feel I'm bothering them, right? I hear that a lot. And that's our mindset. That's us telling ourselves that. I feel also there is a lack of knowledge in how to really lead a strategic conversation. Even though I was very successful in hotel sales, when I learned the strategy, that conversation frame, everything changed and things felt so much better, you know, and I really felt that I was being a partner with clients. And it's about positioning yourself as being that partner instead of feeling like you're the supplier, right? Because they need partners. Your clients need to feel that you're a partner with them. And sometimes we can indirectly position ourselves as a supplier. So we want to avoid that. And when you're seen as a supplier, the conversation tends to be all about rate also, and we want to avoid that, okay? Sometimes, you know, there's just an over-reliance on technology that we're only using Cvent, we're only sending emails, and we're not getting it to the next stage, which is when you've built enough trust that you pick up the phone, or that they're having a face-to-face with you, or video technology. Or a lot of the time I hear, I don't have time, right? But if you're sending out proposals and the average conversion rate in our industry is between 10 and 15%. That means there's, you know, 80% at least of time lost. So, you know, we can make time. If we make time to make a connection with the clients, it's going to help our win rate. Okay. And Lilo here, she felt a lot of these hesitations. She was just reliant on email. And then once she learned a better way to have conversations with clients, she got different results. You know, she said the client was sincerely grateful I asked different kinds of questions, right? He said, people don't normally ask questions. They're not normally curious. They just show me PowerPoint presentations. And this is the same at trade shows, or on sales missions, and going on calls with clients. You know, I encourage you to be curious. Maria and the Great Hotels team, they spend a lot of time creating these wonderful opportunities for you to meet with your clients. And how do you hold that conversation? What questions are you asking of these potential clients, rather than just showing them beautiful photographs of your property, because they've seen hundreds of beautiful properties, you know, and you create a connection by that human to human, that speaking to people, by getting them to think, by getting them to create an engagement with you. Okay. And what I really teach is that, you know, Lila was very appreciative that I helped her to shift from us to you, you know, to making it about you, the client. And that is where you create a client-centric approach to sales. And that's one that the client really, really appreciates. And sometimes it's our mindset that's telling us, no, we won't do that, or no, we'll keep doing things the way we've always done it. But mindset is always a choice. Okay. Mindset is always a choice. So I want you to just pause for a minute and say, okay, how do I engage my clients in conversation? Do I have killer questions? Do I prepare for every client conversation? Do I do research? Or am I just responding by email to a lot of inquiries? Okay, so mark yourself out of 10. 10 is you're great. You manage to have loads of conversations. You have lots of strategic questions ready to ask the client. Or maybe a 2 or a 3 or a 4 is I really just respond by email. Okay. So step number 3 is that proposal. So that all important proposal, or you might call it an offer, or the RFP. And, you know, Cvent, sometimes it's sent through Cvent or through the agencies. But a real opportunity to change your proposal is right at the very beginning. And the first paragraph of a proposal is the most important part. And I encourage you to make it all about the client. And in my venue finding days, and even in the, I review proposals all the time for clients, and I see the same type of format of proposals all the time, whether it's 5-star, 4-star hotel, it doesn't matter. And a lot of them, the first paragraph, it's all about your property, you know, and you're describing it and all the rest. And I encourage you to put that towards the end, right? And this can be a really big thing for people to get their head around at the beginning, because somebody's asking for you for a proposal, you assume you have to tell them all about your property, right? But what you really want to do is match how the property is going to help them in their event, in being successful in what it is that they want to achieve. Okay, so making the paragraph the first paragraph all about the client is most important, because that's when you have their attention. You have their attention right at the beginning, and as they read through the proposal, their attention dwindles. And if the first part of a proposal is all about you and your business, sometimes they just go blah 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 blah, and they just skip right through to price, and then you're just in a conversation about price. Okay, so you need to stand out more. And how do you stand out? Well, personalizing the proposal. I can't tell you how many proposals I read, and I could tell that they just changed the dates and the rates and the client's name, and everything else was just the same. Okay, so how can you really personalize it? How can you put a bit of passion in there? You know, if you're not passionate about your property, why should they be? And you don't have to make it all about price. And in the Steps to Win program, I show you ways to not make it all about price, and how to really engage the client and show them that you listened. Okay, and Bex here, she was stuck in a rut of just sending out proposals, and she remembered after doing the program what I love about my job, right? Which is focusing on the client. None of you got into sales, I'm quite sure, just to send emails all day long and check space, right? We're service people. We love people. We're the people to people, right? And we want to get back to that, because that's what our client wants. You have to earn the conversation though, because yes, I understand people have less time, right? That's always been a problem. But it's harder and harder to earn that conversation now. But when you get it, and when you're able to lead it in the right way, everything just feels so much better. Okay, so mark yourself out of 10 in terms of your proposal and how yours or your team's proposal is. Like 10 is, oh, it's wow, it's amazing, it's really visual, it looks fantastic, and it's all about the client. And 3 or 4 is, well, we really just changed the dates and the rates, and we don't do anything different with it, and we change the client's name and we send it out. Okay, and step 4 then is about leads and generating leads, and to look at the buying process here. I encourage you to start right at the very beginning, because what's happening now in your client's business is their marketplace is changing, their business is changing in the B2B, right? And they find that they have new needs, right? So they need to do something different. And then they go into research mode and solution assessment, and they discover, right, creating an event, we need to create an event, a connection with our people or with our clients. That is one of their solutions, right? So then they have to build an internal business case, and they've decided whose project is this going to be, whose budget is it going to be, who's going to lead this. Okay, and then, and only then, do they engage with you? Do they create an RFP and send it out to their agent, or send it out directly to hotels and venues, right? So you can see that a lot has happened in the client's world before they were ready to send it to you. They've done a lot of research. So a lot of the decision-making process has already happened. And so the more that you can engage with clients back here, back here in this process, the more that you can be relevant and interesting to them and part of this process, the more successful that you're going to be, the better quality leads you're going to be, and you know, maybe you're even able to cut through some of the agencies. Or the big thing is that if you're dealing directly with an end client and they are working with an agent, that the end client will say to the agent, I need to make sure that Anna from the Chedi Lustica Bay Hotel is on that list, right? And then you're working with the agent. But the point is you're on the list and you're hot on that list, and you're somebody that the client really, really needs to work with, okay? So mark yourself out of 10 in terms of how proactive are you? How are you being strategic about who it is that you want to work with? And how well do you really know the business needs of your clients, okay? So Jennifer here, she'll be very seasoned in sales, but you know, sometimes we can forget, we can stop doing the basics, and sometimes it's great to have, you know, a little refresh. But I think a really big part of what's happened in our industry the last 2 years is we need to build our confidence, right? In being proactive and going out there. Now, the great hotels of the world, the team make it easy for you, that they have a lot of great connections and they are setting up appointments for you. And I encourage you to really engage with the team on that. But I have created a course because so many people have said to me, we need more leads. We need to figure out how to find more leads. And so if you want to have that skill set, if you need a refresh perhaps in how to go about building your sales funnel, because you know, everybody needs to rebuild their sales funnel, where to look, how to find the right kind of leads, the right leads for your property, and what's the strategy to put in place to consistently find great leads. I have a course that's all online. You can start it, you know, in the next 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. You can just click on that. So Madalena will put that I'll put that link in the chat box there for you. Okay, so you take a picture of that if you need it. Okay, so the clients, they really don't care about your business, they care about their problems. So what I'd like you to do, folks, is just review what you've looked at, what we have looked at, and what scores you've given yourself in the last 50 minutes, okay, out of 10. And so this will help you to identify, where do I need to start? Where do I need the most help? Is it in standing out, really differentiating yourself from your competitors? Is it leading killer questions to lead that strategic conversation with a client? Is it writing proposals or offers and RFPs that win? Or is it being more proactive and building that profitable sales funnel? Okay. And if you want to share what is an area that you need the most help with, or that you want to work on, please do so in the chat box. Okay. So conversations that create cash, and conversations that create a connection. So I encourage you to go out and have more conversations, because Anthony, within 2 weeks of learning his new killer question technique, he had the confidence to go do that. And he converted business worth 220,000 from a client. And that was from a 1 hour phone conversation, right? So it was a very profitable 1 hour that he had. Okay, so that's my contact information. Again, Madalena will put my LinkedIn information, or my connection there in the chat box. But folks, I'm really curious, you know, what worked for you today? What is the one thing that you're going to do different? Because we'll have wasted the last hour of our lives together if you're not going to do anything different. So is there one thing that you're going to commit to doing different, or is there, you know, an aha moment that you had and you're like, yeah, I really need to, you know, to work on that area? Anybody want to share?
Yeah, I can start.
Sure.
So yeah, the main thing for me probably will be the presentation. It's something that every 2 years we try to improve and have a better presentation, but well, I'm never satisfied. So at the end, I'm looking always for better ways to do the presentation and to present. So yeah, this was something in my pipeline to do for a couple of months. So I will start today and change that.
What do you think you're going to do different in that presentation? Like, is there...
Yeah, so mainly it's the appearance, because the content, it will change obviously depending of the RFP, but it's the appearance, yeah, the template.
Okay, great.
So try to make it more fresh.
Yeah, and I encourage, templates are great, but I also encourage that you put in areas where you can personalize it, depending on who you're speaking to, you know, that you can change it real quick, okay? Tanya said, I love the concept, listen to understand and not to answer. Yeah. And that's a very powerful thing to take from the session today, is to really focus in on listening more to the clients. Wonderful. Thank you for that, Tanya. I'm going to ask everybody now to share one thing.
Anna, do you want to share?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much for these nice tips. Actually, I will put my focus on conversation, since I also always look at my presentation and then I'm like, should I change this slide or put another picture? Or I will do more focus on conversation with the client and to listen to the needs of him or her. And we're beautiful, we look beautiful, but we need to do more with the people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really important. Like, every hotel is beautiful, you know, and people are used to seeing beautiful hotels. And if you have enough money, anybody can build a beautiful hotel, but it's that skill of really creating that connection. For the client to feel that you really get them, that you understand them. That's what's going to help to really get you to the next level. So fab. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Victoria, Marta, how was it for you girls? Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too. From our side is the presentation itself from our properties. Actually, before a couple of weeks ago, we already started to think about how we could change the presentation of Dom Pedro Hotels and Golf Collection to innovate
and make some difference.
Yeah,
great.
To listen closely to what clients need. It's always good to listen carefully and try to get some tips about how they move and what they want to tell without telling properly. Yeah. So we'll try to focus on that.
Great. Fabulous. Okay, excellent. Love it. Love it. Maria? Was there anything? Yes, yeah. Was there anything that you were taking from it?
I think we should make more killer questions and adapt our presentations to the client.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a course that we've created with great hotels of the world. It's my steps to win, and it's interesting to hear that a lot of you are talking about your presentations. Key to really innovating and creating engaging presentations is to include in it what you're hearing from clients. And so that ability to really listen, to really get the client to tell you what's most important to them, and then how are you able to weave that into your presentations and into your proposals. That's the step 3 that I cover in that course. So I think it will be very enlightening for a lot of you and help you in creating a lot of those tools. But there is Madalena, there is a meeting next April 21st. Is that correct?
Yes, it's our Express members meeting. It will be the April 21st. We will send out the invites.
Yeah.
And Ciara will be there also. And we'll talk about our events, the market updates, and also Pedro, our CEO, will be saying some words.
Okay.
But it will be very exciting to have you there.
Great, great, fabulous. And was there anything that you took from today's conversation, Madalena?
To listen more, and to connect with the clients, and to do the right questions.
Yeah, right questions. So that's step 2, and that's a big part. It's always a big aha for people when we look at the questioning techniques and practice that skill of really listening. And then, of course, what do you do with the fabulous answers that you're receiving from your clients? So with respect, I thank all of you for your time and for your attention. It was fabulous to meet with you. Hopefully we're connected on LinkedIn at this stage, and I'll see you April 21st. So in the meantime, happy Easter, have a great rest of week, and enjoy brushing up on your listening skills. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ciara.
Bye.
Bye.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.